rule-based horrors have descended upon the world. Over 80,000 cities have been drawn into the chaos. A lone challenger is randomly selected from each city. To enter the world of horrors. The challenger's success or failure determines the fate of their entire city. If the lone challenger fails, the corresponding rule-based horror will consume their city. End of broadcast. Colossal glass domes descended from the sky. Isolating every city from the next. At the same time, screens flickered to life in every corner of the globe. The challenger's trials will be broadcast live. And they can request outside help 3 times per round. This round, Carnival at Sea. Xiao San was the unlucky soul chosen for Huaxia City. He was transported onto a cruise ship. The following are the rules for this round. Rule 1. There are only 5 challengers on this ship. Keep your identity hidden. Do not reveal yourself. 2. Do not eat the canteen food, especially the cooked dishes. 3. If someone comes to visit, decline politely. Try not to move between cabins. 4. Stay away from the containers on deck. Do not touch the food inside them. 5. There are no sailors on this ship. What you see as sailors may not be human. 6. Your cabin is a safe haven. Do not leave unless absolutely necessary. I stared at the rules on the wall. And frowned. The rules clearly state there are no sailors. So why am I wearing a sailor's uniform? Rule 5. There are no sailors on this ship. What you see as sailors may not be human. I quickly stripped off the uniform. Whether this rule is a mistake or not. It's definitely not safe to be wearing this. Just as I took it off, there was a knock at the cabin door. I peered through the peephole. It looked like a chef. Pushing a food trolley. Your meal is here. I've left it outside. Remember to come and get it. Seeing no response, he left a meal box and walked away. I quickly opened the door, brought the lunchbox inside, and slammed the door shut again. On the streets of Huaxia City, the crowds watching the live broadcast instantly erupted in a chorus of insults. Is this guy an idiot? Rule 2 says not to eat the canteen food. What on earth is he doing? Why is our city's champion so pathetic? He's going to get himself killed right at the start. It's over. The scourge is going to descend on Huaxia City. Other cities were still relatively calm, as their champions had all refused the canteen food. The champion from Sakura City, for instance, kicked the lunchbox over and shouted, "Baka Yaru!" The champion from Liberty City stomped his flat, grinning with smug satisfaction. Huaxia City has opened the vote for external aid. 3 minutes later, 99.99% of citizens have voted for external aid. Huaxia champion, please choose whether to accept. Hearing the announcement about the aid, I was momentarily taken aback. I didn't expect that right at the start. My support team would already be losing their cool. Do they really have so little faith in me? I decisively refused the aid. The Huaxia champion has refused aid. 3 attempts at external aid remain. I slowly opened the lunchbox and took out the canned food and fruit inside. Has he completely lost it? It's one thing to refuse aid, but he's still doubling down. Who thinks about eating at a time like this? You're more of a glutton than a pig. Wait, Rule 2 says not to eat the canteen food. But I think there was a second half to that rule. Especially cooked food. Oh, I see. It means only the cooked food is the problem. Third brother is so clever. He actually figured that out from the very start. Third brother, you're amazing. That's it, I'm leaving the idol fandom. I'm a third brother stan now. The insults from the public instantly turned into praise and voices of pure adoration. Right, then. Amidst a chorus of praise from the viewers, I tossed the remaining cooked food from my lunchbox out of the window. But just at that moment, a sudden, blood-curdling screech erupted from outside. The sound was almost identical to the screams in a zombie movie. It seemed to be coming from the room next door. I suspect the person next door must have eaten the canteen food, and something has gone horribly wrong. That would explain why the rules strangely stated there were no sailors on board. It turns out the sailors on this deck were wiped out the moment the game began. The rules horror has descended upon the world, and I've had the misfortune of being chosen as the lone hero of Huaxia City, representing my city. I must take on the challenge known as Carnival at Sea. The ghostly wailing grew louder and louder. The sailors' quarters were instantly transformed into a hunting ground. I looked at the fruit and tins I'd just received and pondered how to navigate this situation. My train of thought was broken by a frantic pounding on the door. A woman's voice cried out for help from the corridor. "Please, open the door. I don't know what's going on. There are zombies everywhere out here. Please, I'm begging you, save me." Rule 3 immediately flashed through my mind. If anyone comes to visit, please politely decline. Try to avoid moving between rooms. This counts as a visit, doesn't it? If I open the door and let her in, will it lead to disaster? That's what I was weighing up. But in the end, I couldn't resist the girl's desperate pleas. I opened the door and let her inside. 9 out of 10 men are suckers for and the 10th is even worse. Brother San is no exception. We're doomed. This is definitely a honey trap. I can't believe that even at a time like this. All Brother San can think about is women. It's so disappointing. A beautiful woman is nothing but trouble. Nothing but trouble. Who would have thought the downfall of Huaxia City would be a woman? Meanwhile, the feeds for the other cities were just as frantic. Take the guy in Brazil City, for example. He let a distressed woman in out of pity, only for her to turn around and shove him right out. She spent the whole time calling him a useless loser. Then there was the guy from Ula City. He tried to take advantage of the girl, but she was ready for him and took him out instead. Now everyone is calling him a total I fed a little better. When I let her in, I spotted the weapon she was hiding behind her back. I instinctively took a few steps back, seeing I was on my guard. She didn't make her move just yet. Judging by your outfit, you're a tourist, aren't you? So what are you doing down here in the sailors' quarters? My question caught her completely off guard. She hesitated for a couple of seconds before replying. It's pure chaos out there. I just ended up here in all the confusion. I immediately went on high alert. I could tell from her shifting gaze that she was lying through her teeth. Clearly, she wasn't as innocent as she seemed. She must have realized I was onto her. She brandished the dagger from behind her back, and lunged straight at me. I dodged to one side, grabbing a tin from the table and hurling it at her. She raised her arm to block the flying tin. While her vision was obscured, I kicked her feet out from under her. Then I pounced, pinning her to the floor. I quickly wrestled the knife from her hand. Just like that, I had her subdued. Ah. 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 Please, I beg you, don't kill me. I'll give you anything you want. Seeing she couldn't win by force, she actually started unbuttoning her clothes. She was trying to use a honey trap. Give it a rest. I've always detested women like you. That trick won't work on me. I dragged her over to the corner. Dotton used a hammock to tie her up securely. Now, talk. Who are you, and what are you doing in the sailors' quarters? I'm just an ordinary tourist. I just lost my way in a panic. I didn't mean to barge in here. Still not telling the truth, are you? Then don't blame me for being ruthless. I said this as I started dragging her towards the cabin door. Terrified, she quickly confessed everything. It turned out she was a lone brave too. But her role in this was different. She had been brought in as a female tourist. Besides the 6 rules on the wall, she knew one more hidden rule than I did. Rule 7, the fewer lone braves who survive, the higher the chance of success. It was because of this rule that she decided to hunt down the others. Oh, I see. Based on Rule 5, that there are no sailors on board. You deduced I was a lone brave, didn't you? Yes. I knew all along that something would happen to the sailors. Anyone left unharmed in the sailors' quarters was a target I had to eliminate. Now that you've told me all this, what do you think I'm going to do? I can tell you're a smart person. You'll definitely cooperate with me. Give me a reason to work with you. I can help you hide your sailor identity. How? Rule 3 says to avoid moving around too much. The other lone braves won't suspect that we formed an alliance. Fine, but you have to get me out of here first. Rule 6. Doesn't it say the cabins are absolutely safe? Why leave? If you thought of hunting survivors in the sailors' quarters, there's no guarantee others won't think of it too. This place is far too conspicuous. It's not safe. The woman thought my logic was sound. So, after helping me pack my things, we left the sailors' quarters together. My name is Xiao-san. Unfortunately, I've been pulled into this world of strange. I'm competing on behalf of my home, Cathay City. If I am consumed by these legends, my city will be corrupted by them as well. For the sake of my loved ones, and my people back in Huaxia City, I have to keep fighting. After forming an alliance with Xiao Cao, whom I'd only just met, we left the sailors' quarters together, intending to find a new sanctuary. But the moment we stepped out, there in the corridor, we ran into a pack of snarling zombies. Don't be scared, we're still quite far from them. Their range is limited. They won't notice us. Hearing Xiao Cao's words put my mind at ease a little. But when I saw zombies at both ends of the hallway, I lost my composure immediately. They're coming. It looks like our path is blocked. Without a second thought, Xiao Cao pulled out her phone, blasted some deafening music, and tossed it to the far end of the corridor. The zombies wandering on the other side were instantly drawn to the noise and came charging down the hallway towards us. I didn't panic at the sight of the menacing horde, because the moment she played the music, I knew exactly what she was planning. I immediately tried to pull her back into the cabin. However, to my utter disbelief, Xiao Cao didn't retreat with me. Instead, she sprinted right towards the zombies. Have you lost your mind? I was absolutely horrified. Just as I was about to stop her, she suddenly darted aside into a neighboring cabin and slammed the door shut. I was completely dumbstruck. We only just agreed to an alliance, and she's already left me high and dry? Are women really this untrustworthy? But the zombies were almost upon me, leaving no time to think. I had no choice but to scurry back into my room. What on earth is going on? Why did Xiao Cao abandon Brother San? If she was planning to double-cross him, why didn't she just hide in Brother San's room and leave him with nowhere to go? What's the logic here? Can anyone explain this? The citizens of Huaxia City were shrouded in mystery, and I, too, was just as baffled. If Xiao Cao refused to ally with me because she was wary of Rule 3, she could have just burst into my room and finished me off right then and there, but she didn't do that. No matter how much I rack my brains, I can't figure out why. So, as soon as the zombies left my door, I rushed over to the room next door. The door was still locked tight. Xiao Cao was clearly still inside. I called out softly for a while, but no one ever answered. With no other choice, I had to head out on my own. Since the zombies had been lured to the far end of the corridor, I managed to cross it without any trouble. I reached the logistics deck on the second floor. Because there are so many crew members on a cruise ship, the number of zombies on this level was far greater than in the sailors' quarters. Trying to get through this long corridor to reach the deck seemed almost impossible. So, I had to retreat to the room. Is there really no way out of here? Is this a total dead end? Suddenly, I remembered the sailor's diary. I quickly began rummaging through the room. Luckily, in an inconspicuous corner, I found the diary. The sailor used to log his journey. Just as I'd hoped, there was indeed a map of the ship inside. Looking at the map, I finally understood. The reason Xiao Cao risked everything to get into that room was because it was actually a storage locker. Storage lockers don't usually have windows, so they're designed with ventilation shafts. She'd obviously escaped through the vents long ago. That woman is certainly something else. She must have planned her escape route long before she came to kill third brother. What a total scheming bitch. I wonder which city's the lone hero she is. She's truly wicked. Huaxia City was abuzz with discussion. Meanwhile, the people of Future City but watching the screen with a tense expression. On the screen, Xiao Cao has crawled through the vents and reached the captain's office in the logistics bay. She peers at the 7 or 8 survivors inside, seemingly plotting her next move. A few minutes later, she finally pulls back the vent cover and drops into the office. Don't be afraid, everyone. I'm not a zombie. I'm here to save you. As Xiao Cao speaks, she rolls up her sleeves to show them she has no bite marks. A middle-aged bald man rolls his eyes at her. Who do you think you are? He sneers. Why should we trust you? There's no food in the captain's office. If you don't trust me, you can just stay here and wait to starve to death. Xiao Cao climbs back into the vent. But this bit of reverse psychology doesn't work. They're still wary of who she is and what she can do. Xiao Cao has no choice but to add, look, you're dead either way. Why not take a gamble? I'm leaving now. Follow me if you want to live. After saying this, she gives a deliberate wink to a rather sleazy-looking man. The man licks his lips and gives a hard swallow. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, he says with a wide grin. A girl this pretty Can't be all that bad. Believe her or not. But I'm going with her. Old Wang follows her into the vent, and the other survivors slowly follow suit. Little do they know, this beautiful girl is actually a femme fatale. After leading them to the leisure area, she tricks them into eating the food in the canteen. Watching them all turn into zombies, she sighs. Ooh, another waste of effort. Not even one brave soul among them. Where on earth are those guys hiding? It looks like I'll have to find a way to take out that sailor myself. Rules-based anomalies are sweeping the globe. As a lone hero, I've accepted the challenge on behalf of my city. But right at the start, I've been cornered in the crew cabin by zombies. Luckily, there's plenty of food, and hiding out in the cabin doesn't break the rules. There shouldn't be any major issues. But just as I was thinking so naively, that familiar music suddenly started playing outside. At the same time, a flurry of chaotic footsteps, accompanied by the snarling of zombies, began closing in on my room. I immediately sensed that things were taking a turn for the worse. Rule 6 might state that the cabin is a safe haven, but there must be a limit to that safety. If a whole horde of zombies starts ramming the door, it certainly won't hold. I cursed at that scheming Xiao Cao under my breath, while dragging furniture to barricade the door. But there's far too little in here. The door is already buckling under the weight of the horde. It's on the verge of collapsing. I can only rack my brain, going over the rules, looking for any detail I might have missed that could help me survive this crisis. Unfortunately, aside from understanding rule and why we must keep our identities hidden, I haven't found anything useful. I never expected that Xiao Cao would double back, just to eliminate the other challengers. They say a woman's heart is the most venomous, and they're right. Xiao Cao, I know you're next door, and I know you have no intention of letting me live. But I hope you'll tell me the truth. What exactly are the hidden rules? You're about to die, and you still care about that? Her voice really was coming from next door. My suspicions were correct. I've been outplayed. I admit defeat. I don't really care how I die. But I want to provide more information to my people watching the stream, so they can survive the aftermath once the anomaly spread to our world. Aside from being a bit dim and far too gullible, you're not half bad. So, I'll let you die knowing exactly why. Rule 7, when only one lone brave remains in the arena. They clear the stage immediately. I see. But is it really worth taking such a risk? Just to eliminate me? Don't forget, there are 3 other challengers out there. It won't be easy just to find them, let alone take them out. You still haven't realized what kind of game this is, have you? What do you mean? On the surface, it's rule-based horror. But in truth, it's a test of survival. Based on what I know of survival games, there's usually a time limit. And within that time, the difficulty will continue to skyrocket. If you don't want to find yourself in the most dangerous the best way is to clear the stage now. You've certainly seen through everything. If I'm to die at your hands, I've no complaints. I can't guarantee I'll eliminate all the challengers. But for the sake of my city, I have no choice. I'm sorry. You've been more than fair. Telling me all of this. We're all carrying our own burdens. I completely understand. Having said my piece, I felt a sense of relief. I waved goodbye to my fellow citizens of Huaxia City, and began moving the barricade from the door. I intended to bring my challenge to a close. But it wasn't a shameful end either. But just then, a sudden roar of battle erupted from outside. The sounds of fighting and wailing filled the air. Like an ancient battlefield. Is this some kind of divine intervention? I rushed to the peephole to look out. Blimey! This is no divine army. It's a group of survivors taking on the zombies. I quickly opened the door, and joined the fight to wipe them out. It didn't take long for them to clear the zombies from this floor. It was only then that I noticed. Their leader was a pretty cool-looking guy. He had a long ponytail. And clearly wasn't someone to be trifled with. Sure enough, the very first thing he said to me caught me completely off guard. I'd been set up by that manipulative girl, and nearly ripped apart by a zombie horde. Luckily, this group of warriors had saved me. But what their leader, the ponytail guy, said next left me absolutely stunned. You're the only surviving sailor. And one of the 5 lone warriors, aren't you? Having learned my lesson the hard way. I played dumb and pretended I had no idea what he meant. Lone warrior? Sailor? What? I don't follow you. I'm just a kitchen hand. I was delivering food when the outbreak started. So I hid in here. Ponytail gave me a smirk. Then, he spoke slowly. All right, drop the act. I'm the head chef here. There were 10 of us in the kitchen. Everyone but me got infected. I had to deal with them myself. You're pulling my leg, right? What chef has hair that long? Especially a head chef. And look at your soft hands. You wouldn't know the first thing about boiling noodle. Of course, head chef is just a cover. My real identity is the same as yours. I'm a lone warrior. I don't know what a lone warrior is. And I've no clue what you're talking about. The fact that you can even hear the words lone warrior ... is proof enough that your cover's blown. You clearly don't realize that apart from lone warriors, no one else can hear or see any information regarding the strange tales. His words sent a jolt through me, but I wasn't sure if he was telling the truth. I kept my cool and didn't say a word. Relax, there's no need to be so tense. I'm not like those other lone warriors who take shortcuts by hunting their own kind. You saw what happened just now. No, but even a fool could see what was happening back then. You were being set up. And in such a chaotic situation, who else but a lone wolf would do something so spiteful and pointless? That doesn't prove I'm a lone wolf. What if it was all a misunderstanding? What if they mistook me for a hunter's target? Of course, I'm not ruling that out. Fine, forget it if you won't admit it. Regardless of whether you're a lone wolf or not, it doesn't matter to me. My goal is to hunt the zombies. Once the zombies are gone, the crisis will naturally be over. You can clear the game either way. So what's the difference what we kill? But there are far more zombies than lone wolves. Not necessarily. From what I've gathered, this is a small cruise ship. The actual headcount shouldn't exceed 300. Based on the kitchen's catering, there should be around 250 people on board. The virus broke out in the crew quarters where there are fewer people. If no one was sabotaging things, it wouldn't have spread that quickly. No more than half would be infected. Your analysis is incredibly thorough. If it's really as you say, then trying to find a few hidden lone among half the population, well, that's certainly not as easy as hunting zombies out in the open. So, I hope you'll stop this infighting before the situation spirals completely out of control. I glanced at the storage locker and shrugged. You shouldn't be telling me this. Tell the girl in there. No need. I heard your entire conversation. Hunting zombies. You're being incredibly naive. Do you really think the one who made the rules didn't anticipate someone trying to hunt the zombies? She's right. The controller of this weird tale the world must have thought of that. Since they put the zombies there, an outbreak far out at sea, away from everything, there must have been a backup plan. Everything is happening just as Xiao Cao predicted. At this moment, 2 people have fled to the deck. While blocking the door, one of them says, "Brother John, are we really going to seal off the only way to the deck? Isn't that a bit heartless? My wife is about to give birth. I'm afraid my child will be born without eye. I didn't want to be this ruthless either. But you have to blame those lone braves. They insisted on keeping everything hidden. We've asked so many people, and not one of them would admit it. What else could I do? But if we hide on the deck, are we really going to be safe? Given the typical nature of these rules of the weird, one of the rules is bound to be fake. Rule 4 says there's food in the containers on deck, yet tells us not to touch them. There's a logical flaw right there. What do you mean, Brother John? Can you explain it more clearly? Think about it. We can't eat the food in the canteen. If we want to survive, then we have to use the food in the containers, right? The rules gave us a clue about the food, only to forbid us from touching it. Isn't that a contradiction? Blimey, that actually makes sense. As they finished talking, they had just about finished sealing the door to the deck. The 2 of them headed to the container area. ready to claim this massive haul of supplies. However, they didn't expect that the moment the container opened, a swarm of zombies would pour out. Moreover, these zombies were incredibly fast. They were upon one of them in the blink of an eye. To be fair, the man was quite loyal. Seeing he couldn't escape, he used his body to hold back the horde. "Brother Jiong, run! Get out of here!" Seeing things take a turn for the worse, the other shouted, "Take care, brother!" and fled back towards the hatch. Keyman had been poisoned long ago. Even though his sacrifice bought some time, the other person had only just opened the hatch before being taken out by these enhanced zombies. Lone Brave Fang Dachyoung and Li Ergu have been corrupted by the anomaly. The remaining Lone Braves must be extremely cautious. As soon as this news broke, the atmosphere in the cabin grew tense. All 3 remaining Lone Braves were here. I didn't know if Ponytail Guy would change his mind, nor if Xiao Kao would suddenly lunge out. But the oppressive atmosphere didn't last long. It was shattered by a commotion from upstairs. No. Please? What's happening up there? It sounds like zombies. And there seem to be a lot of them. That's strange. Didn't we clear out the zombies upstairs already? While everyone was frozen in confusion, a lightning-fast zombie rushed into the sailors' quarters and pounced on someone in the blink of an eye. The crowd erupted like a boiling pot. It was total chaos. Everyone started bolting for the cabins on either side. As for me, my first instinct was to head back to my own cabin. Just as I was closing the door, Ponytail Guy suddenly jammed his hand in. "Wait for me," to repay him for saving my life before I let him in without a second thought. "Thanks. I didn't think you'd let me in." I ignored him and focused on the situation outside. By now, the people outside had mostly hidden in nearby cabins. Those who hadn't managed to hide had essentially all fallen to the zombies. "Can I have a look?" I nodded and stepped aside. Ponytail Guy leaned in, but his face darkened after just one look. "These zombies are clearly different from the ones before. It looks like you were right after all. The mastermind really did have a trick up their sleeve. Yes, if I'm not mistaken. These zombies were originally inside the shipping containers. It must have been those 2 troublemakers on the broadcast who let them out. No wonder the rules told us not to touch the containers on the deck, dangling the food inside as bait. Was just a trap to get us to release these things. That must be why the girl next door went to such lengths to find us, aside from seeking out other Lone Braves. It's clear that no one but a Lone Brave who knows the rules would ever touch those containers. My dear boys, you've realized this far too late. Now that the zombies have overrun the cabins, the deck has become a safe zone stocked with supplies. I won't be staying here to play with you any longer. Until we meet again." With that, Xiao Kao left through the ventilation shaft. But before she left, she deliberately made some small holes, causing the zombies to break into the storage locker next door. She completely destroyed any hope we had of escaping to the deck via the vents. That girl is absolutely vicious. If I ever run into her again, I'll kill her, I swear. Because Ponytail Man spoke too loudly, the zombies next door began to stir. He wanted to say more, but had to keep his mouth shut. For the next 24 hours, Ponytail Man and I were trapped in the cabin. There was nothing we could do. Luckily, I had enough food to last the 2 of us for a few days. As for what happens after that, we certainly can't stay here much longer, based on my observations. The zombies' abilities are constantly improving. For instance, someone's phone in the next cabin gave a tiny beep. And they were immediately swarmed by the horde. And a guy across from me tried to escape in the chaos. But the zombies caught his scent and dragged him away. It's clear that the zombies are becoming more sensitive to smell. and their hearing has become much sharper too. The day that followed was harder to endure than a whole year. The zombies are getting more sensitive to smells. They've come scratching at our cabin door several times, leaving me too afraid to even breathe. Just now, the cabin with the most survivors was breached by the zombies, simply because the scent of the living was too strong. Those blood-curdling screams finally made Ponytail lose his cool. Mate, if things keep going like this, it'll be our turn sooner or later. So what do we do? Do you have any choice but to wait? Waiting is just sitting around for death. We need to take the initiative to break this deadlock. What do you mean? You're not still thinking of hunting zombies, are you? Not exactly. I might be brave, but I'm not stupid. Then what do you mean by taking the initiative? I'll go out and lure the zombies away, while you take the chance to escape into the ventilation shaft. That doesn't seem right. I know one death is better than two, but we've only just met. You're making me feel quite guilty here. Fine, you go lure them away then. Actually, forget I said anything. I think we should just wait and see. Let's just take it one day at a time. Maybe the challenge will be over by tomorrow. You saw it yourself, they're getting stronger. We were all fooled by Rule 6. The idea that the cabin is is a total lie. We're doing it my way. Mate, I'm truly moved by your self-sacrifice. Don't worry, I won't die. If anything, you're in more danger, given how vicious that girl is. She's bound to have set traps in the vents. Good luck to you. Ha ha ha. Blimey, I wasted my sympathy on you. Ponytail didn't say another word. He just smeared durian juice all over himself and pulled down the table board. I fashioned a makeshift shield and charged out of the cabin. The ship was crawling with zombies. My hiding spot was on the verge of being overrun. To make a break for it, the man with the ponytail suggested we split up. Once he was out of the cabin, he snatched a machete off the floor and hurled it down the corridor. It worked. The noise drew the zombies away, using a durian to mask his scent. He made it to the stairs leading to the second floor. He could have just vanished then, but he didn't. Instead, he turned back and screamed at the horde. Hey, you little shits, your granddad's right here. Come and get a bite. The zombies all turned to look at him, their faces masks of pure disbelief. It was as if they'd never seen anyone so arrogant. A few seconds later, they finally went charging towards him. Seeing my opening, I bolted to the next room and scrambled into the ventilation duct as fast as I could. The duct was roomier than I'd expected. It seemed like a decent place to hide, but that thought was quickly shattered by reality. From the other end of the vent, a sudden, guttural snarl rang out. At the same time, I heard the sound of rapid crawling getting closer and closer. I knew then that in such a confined space, the zombie had picked up my scent immediately. There was no time to back out. It was too late. I drew the dagger hidden in my trouser leg and plunged it into the lunging zombie. Once, twice, 3 times. I lost track of how many times I'd stabbed it. I didn't stop until it finally stopped twitching, but I couldn't afford to relax because I knew I couldn't stay here for long. One zombie I could handle, but a whole pack would be a different story. I had to get through this part. Thinking about the level 3 tourist area I'd yet to reach. If I could just climb up one more level, I'd be at the passage leading straight to the deck. But just then, I noticed something in the ventilation duct ahead. A corpse was lying right there. It didn't look like it had been dead for long, as blood was still oozing from it. Getting closer, I realized the body was already pale, looking as though it had been dead for quite some time. I couldn't understand why the blood hadn't clotted. And right beneath the body, a pack of zombies were snarling and clawing, desperate to get at it. At that sight, a disturbing thought crossed my mind. Could this body have something to do with Xiao Cao? If this was a trap she'd set in the ventilation shaft, then that woman is truly terrifying. Suddenly, my train of thought was broken by a zombie that nearly leapt into the vent. I snapped back to my senses. I quickly pushed the thought aside, shoved the corpse down, and kept crawling forward. I eventually made it to the door leading to the deck. To my surprise, the man with the ponytail had already beaten me there. You're a bit earlier than I expected. It seems the trouble in the vents wasn't too much for you to handle. Ha ha, there was only one zombie in there. It was easy enough to deal with. I looked at him, completely unscathed, and began to doubt who he really was. There were so many zombies where you were. How do you look even more composed than I do? Composed? If I hadn't been a bit faster than them, and managed to shake them off, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you right now. Is that how? You managed to escape and get here. How else do you think I did it? I glanced at him, not believing for a second. It was all as effortless as he made it sound. And he didn't seem to want to explain much. Turning around, he began pounding on the deck door. Little girl, old man's son knows you're in there. Hurry up and open the door, or I'll smash the bloody thing down. And drag you to the grave with us. The door creaked open, and there stood Xiao Cao. I didn't expect you to be so obedient this time, girl. I was actually going to make an exception. And see what it's like to have a woman. Never mind. Let's let bygones be bygone. And you? How do you plan to deal with me? I don't know. Facing this woman who had, time and again, nearly cost me my life. Why didn't I feel even a shred of hatred? Perhaps I pitied her. Like me, she carried the fate of an entire city on her shoulders. Since we're all in the same boat. And our goals are aligned. Simply to stay alive. We don't have to be friends, but we needn't be enemies. Very well. But don't get the wrong idea. I didn't open the door because I wanted to join you. I just didn't want you bringing the dead up here. Since we're not teammates, there are some rules. We need to get straight first. What rules? We split the food in the containers 2 to 1. We take 2 shares, you take 1. There is no food in the containers at all. The rules were a total sham. As soon as Xiao Cao said this, we were all taken aback. You haven't hidden the food in advance, have you? There's hardly any space here. Where could I possibly hide it? If you don't believe me, look for yourselves. Perhaps because we were so used to her tricks. We didn't believe a word she said. We began searching the deck separately. But strangely, Xiao Cao kept following right behind me. She watched me intently, never leaving my side. It felt as if I'd been caught in an affair. Just as I was wondering what she was doing, Xiao Cao glanced towards the ponytail guy. And suddenly whispered to me nervously. That person you're with. They might not even be human. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. With zombies swarming the cabins, the man with the ponytail and I barely managed to escape onto the deck. But while the ponytail man was away, on the other side of the cruise ship, Xiao Cao whispered to me that he wasn't human. At those words, my suspicions from the corridor turned into sheer terror. Do you have any proof? Of course I do. Otherwise, why do you think I let you in so easily? What's the proof? I'm listening. I'll tell you. But you'll have to give me something in return. Fearing I didn't take his point, he added, trade me some food for the information. I know you brought some up here with you. Xiao Cao stared at my bulging pockets, his eyes gleaming. I'll give you food, but you have to tell me first. Otherwise, how do I know if your information is reliable? Fine. To show some good faith, I'll give you a hint. Xiao Cao had been on deck for 2 days. Without a drop of water, he was clearly starving. He immediately shared the gist of his theory. In this rules of horror, besides the hidden rules, there are 6 rules in total. And I can tell you for a fact, every single one of them is false. What? All of them? Exactly. If you want to know why, you'll have to trade that food for it. It was the first time I'd ever heard that all the rules in a rules of horror were wrong. I couldn't help but be curious. So I took out a packet of biscuits, intending to trade them for the truth. Xiao Cao looked absolutely ravenous, without even trying to bargain. He took the biscuit straight away, and began his analysis while he ate. Rule 1. There aren't 5 lone braves on this ship at all. There might only be 4. And one of them isn't even human. Rule 2. Do not eat the canteen food. But remember, all the food is provided by the canteen. If you don't eat, you'll simply starve to death. Rule 3. Do not visit one another. That's purely to encourage everyone to actually join forces. Perhaps that's the only way to survive. Rule 4. There is no food in the deck containers at all. It's nothing but a scam. A massive trap. Rule 5. How could there be no sailors on the ship? Isn't your starting role exactly that, a sailor? Rule 6. The cabins aren't safe at all. On the contrary, they're the most dangerous places of all. I even suspect the hidden rules are fake. The only goal is to make us kill each other. Sadly, I realized it all too late. I listened to Little Grass's analysis. I couldn't find a single flaw in it. It seemed as though everything was exactly as he said. But one thing still didn't quite add up. If the rules are all wrong, doesn't that mean there are no rules? Can this even be called a rule-based mystery then? Of course it can. Wrong rules don't mean there are no rules. On the contrary, as long as we do the opposite, we're still following them. I didn't know when the man with the ponytail had returned. He didn't seem angry. That we were talking about the ritual behind his back. Right, you've sown your discord and swindled your food. You've achieved your goal. Now, clear off. Little Grass was shaken to the core. Hearing the word clear, he fled immediately. You heard our conversation just now? I'm not psychic. But I didn't need to hear it to guess. Since he chose to talk behind my back, he certainly wasn't going to say anything nice. The rest of the day passed peacefully enough. Until night fell. A sudden, howling wind swept in from the sea. Thunder roared incessantly. Damn! With thunder this loud, the zombies are bound to be drawn up here. There doesn't seem to be anywhere to hide. What do we do now? The man with the ponytail pointed at the shipping containers. Not necessarily. Isn't this the perfect place to take cover? He's right. These containers must be made of some reinforced material. If they can keep zombies in, they can certainly keep them out. But before I could even finish my sentence, Xiao Cao appeared out of nowhere. He beat us to it and ducked inside a container. We rushed forward. But we were a second too late. He'd already locked the door from the inside. Sorry about this. If only one of us can survive. I have to choose myself. Unbelievable. You're always one step ahead, aren't you? I should never have gone soft on you. I should have got rid of you while I had the chance. If you lot manage to survive this, maybe you'll have time to regret it. As Xiao Cao burst into laughter, a violent thudding came from the hatch. One blow after another, each louder than the last. There's no time. Get on top. We didn't dare hesitate for a second. We scrambled up to the top of the containers. Day 3 of survival at sea. Thunder suddenly shook the sky, drawn by the deafening roars. The zombies swarmed onto the deck in droves. The containers were our only refuge. But he had already beaten us to it, forcing us to climb onto the roof instead. The containers were stacked 3 high, about 6 or 7 meters up. The climb wasn't too difficult. But just as we reached the very top, a tide of zombies burst through the hatch. They flooded onto the deck. Perhaps it was because we were standing so high. The zombies spotted us instantly. Even though I'd already reacted, and told the ponytail guy to get down. It didn't change the fact that we'd been seen. The horde began to swarm towards us, clambering over one another, piling up in layers. They reached the second level of containers in an instant. They were about to reach the third level any second now. I know how to beat this legend. So this is the real answer. I was lying flat on the container, looking up at the ponytail guy, who was staring blank. I thought to myself, has this kid gone completely mad? What's he blathering about now? But a second later, he suddenly asked, mate, can you swim? Hey, I can do the doggy paddle. Good enough. Before I could even react, he hoisted me up like a helpless chick, and grabbed me tight. Then, he threw me into the sea. The sheer force of the fall, made me sink like a lead weight. I plummeted straight down. My so-called doggy paddle, was completely useless in this situation. Before long, I choked on the seawater and blacked out. When I woke up, I was on a private yacht. You're finally awake. I thought you said you could swim. Why did you sink the moment you hit the wall? If I hadn't moved fast, you'd be at the bottom of the ocean by now. Where are we? This is the yacht from the cruise ship. It's also the only way to escape this maritime legend. What on earth is going on? When we climbed to the top of the containers, I spotted this yacht. That's when I figured out how to escape. Sure enough, there's a navigation map on board. There are plenty of small islands nearby. We just need to reach one of them. Means that this round of the strange tale is a success. Haha, is that so? But I was standing on those containers for ages. How come I never saw a yacht? Maybe it's because we were in different spots. A different perspective, I suppose. I don't know why, but the way this yacht just appeared still feels a bit eerie to me. But what Ma Weinan said next soon made me dismiss that thought. Look, the shores of victory are just ahead. The yacht pulled up steadily to the island. A man with goat horns, claiming to be the administrator of this round, gave us a warm welcome. Congratulations to you both on passing this trial. Go through this door to reach the lounge. You're free to move about the rest area for 2 days. A new round of the strange tale will begin after that. What? We have to continue? Is there no end to this? That's right, it continues. If you don't wish to go on, you can tell the next round's administrator. I'm only responsible for things here. Anything beyond this place is none of my business. Fine. Where can I find the next administrator? The next round is run by the 10-volt Yama. You can video call him on the computer in the rest area. Blimey. So a 10-volt Yama is just a person's name? Why didn't you say so sooner? You'll understand once you see him. The horned man opened the door behind him and warmly invited us in. The space behind the door was shimmering. You couldn't see what was inside at all. It felt like some kind of teleportation portal. By the way, what should I call you? You can call me the Dragon King of the Four Seas. What? You're the Dragon King? Does that make me the Great Sage, then? Ha ha ha, Sun Shang Xiang. Mind your language, please. Impersonating a divine being so might very well be the death of you. Wait, mate. Is your name really Sun Shang Xiang? Liu Bei's wife. The lady Sun from Honor of Kings. Ha ha, sod off, Grandpa Sun. My Shang is the 1 foot up, not the 1 foot high and mighty. Then you might as well call yourself Sun Grave Tender. Sounds more prestigious than Sun Incense Burner, ha ha. Up yours and your great aunts. Don't forget who just saved your life. Is this how you treat your savior? As we spoke, we passed through the long, shimmering corridor and arrived in a wasteland world. After surviving countless trials and a brush with death, we finally escaped the maritime ghost story, only to be brought to this wasteland. This place looks like a total ruin. Enclosed on all sides by high walls, the walls are riddled with caves. And right now, we're at the exit of one of those caves. At the same time, we saw figures emerging from the other caves. However, most of the caves remained empty. Presumably, the people inside either couldn't get out, or they all died back in the maritime ghost story. Even when people did emerge, they were mostly lone wolves, but from one particular cave. For people actually stepped out at once. If what Xiao Cao said is true, then their entire team must have made it through. This is supposed to be the rest area? It looks like a bloody rubbish dump. We followed the ropes down to the ground. Soon, a man looking as fierce as Liu Biyu approached us. Hello, I'm your host. You can call me Xiao Wang. I'll be responsible for everything you need here. I'll do my best to satisfy your requests, but please don't be too demanding. Right then, get Grandpa Sun a couple of fit birds. No, wait, make it 3, hee. I want 10. Give me 10 of them. Now that's what I call a man. Ha ha ha, sorry, but your request is a bit too much. I can't satisfy a request like that. Well, how about just one for the two of us to share? Sorry, we don't deal in that sort of thing here. Please show some self-respect. Hey there, handsome, why not come inside for a bit? We don't charge a penny. In fact, we'll even give you some food. Really? I haven't eaten in days. Free food and a bed? Is there really such? What's the catch? Just looking for a bit of fun. And this is what you meant by not that sort of thing? If it's free, it's not business. We certainly don't deal in it ourselves, but as for the lone bravers, as long as their actions don't endanger lives, we don't interfere. My apologies. Are you saying, these people in the flesh trade are also lone bravers? That's right, they arrived here 18 years ago as lone bravers. For various reasons, they were trapped here forever. Right, well, whoever they are. Anyway, old son here, wasn't actually looking for a woman. I was just testing your boundaries. Xiang, let's just, get him to take us to our quarters. We need to contact 10 o'clock Yama. And request a withdraw. This godforsaken place. I can't stand another second here. You want to head to your quarters, then? Follow me. Oi, wait. What the hell did you just call me? Can you use a different name? Led by the receptionist, we arrived at our quarters. The environment here was a world away from the ruins outside. It didn't even look like the same world. However, no food was provided here. They said it could only be earned through challenges. Over the next 2 days, we spent most of our time on the computer, trying to contact the administrator known as 10 o'clock Yama. But the system kept saying he was too busy. Just as we began to doubt we'd ever get through, we finally made contact. So, you're the 10 Kings of Hell? But you're dressed as the 12 zodiac signs. What do you want? Explain in 3 words, please. I haven't got time for small talk. I'm incredibly busy. I have to connect with thousands of lone warriors every day. Hold it. I want out. I'm quitting. Those 14 words already count as overtime. And I refuse to work late. Request denied. You want to go back? Fine by me. But you'll have to pass my trial first. Ha ha ha. Right then. That's the end of our chat. Glad to have cleared things up. Don't forget to give me a 5-star rating. Cheerio! And so, our call with this adorable's King of Hell ended in the most awkward way imaginable. The next day, I was teleported alone into a secret chamber. A new round of the Lone Warrior Challenge had begun. I'd assumed this challenge would match the King's cute persona. I couldn't have been more wrong. It was actually a treacherous escape room battle royal. Specifically, the first stage, Truth or Dare. Whoever draws a to dare card has to take the risk.